Hey there, it's your girl Benita. God bless you. Welcome to part 2 of Are You a Spiritual Beggar? Yeah. Are you a spiritual beggar? The last time that we were together, we first started looking at the definition of a beggar. In the natural, a beggar is a person who is typically homeless, a person who is dependent upon their needs being met by taking the risk of asking for food or asking someone to give them what they need. They are at the financial and the emotional mercy of another person's response. I want you to really listen to that. They are at the emotional and the physical mercy of someone else deciding to help them. All right? They are asking for what they need. Amen. And when we look at this spiritually, if we are spiritual beggars, which I have in my walk with Christ, had to deal with this type of mindset and behavior, what hidden behind an intent to help sometimes, we kind of go overboard to get people to accept our help. Amen. And the way that we can tell if it's just a natural sense of helping someone or if there's an emotional issue that needs to be dealt with is our response when that person decides that they don't want our help. Do we feel somehow that we have been slighted? Do we feel rejected because they did not want our help? Do we feel that now we have to look down at the individual who they did choose to help them? If we're going through issues like that in our mind and having feelings of insecurity, then we need to look at it a little deeper. Amen. Are we trying to get our needs met through helping other people? I want you to think about that. Are we looking for gratification or begging for gratification through helping someone else? Are we taking care of the needs of another because we need to be needed? I want you to think about that. Is there a thirst? Is there almost like an addiction to help others to feel good about ourselves? We just have an impulse. We have to do it. If we are going through that, we need to know that there is another issue behind that. We don't have to continue to spend our lives on a treadmill trying to get someone, to actually manipulate someone to allow us to help them. And I know that that may seem insane to some individuals, but there are those of you who know exactly what I am referring to. Amen. I want you to know that the issue is that we are starving for validation. So we put pressure on ourselves to obtain a position where we can help someone else so that we can feel good about ourselves. I'm going to say that again. The issue is that we are starving for validation. We are starving to feel significant. And so we go out on a search. We search for it. And so we try to put pressure on ourselves and on other people for them to allow us to help them so that we can feel good about ourselves. We become a spiritual beggar. Amen. And the need again is because we want to feel good about ourselves. We want to feel validated. We want to feel significant. And I want to tell you that that in itself is normal. Yes. It's normal to want to feel validated. It's normal to want to feel good about ourselves. But the problem comes in when we choose a source that will only allow that to be short-lived. I want you to listen to a couple of things I want to say here about self-worth or self-esteem. And first of all, I want to let you know, I really did not necessarily know the importance of self-esteem. I didn't know the importance of having a healthy self-esteem to feel good about me. But it affects every relationship that you have. It affects your perception about things. It affects the way that you handle issues, the way that you feel when someone says no to you. Someone, it's the difference between feeling rejected and feeling like an individual simply used or exercised their right to make a choice. I remember when I always just felt rejected when people didn't want this. They didn't want to be in my company, or they didn't seem like they wanted me to be their friend. Amen. But as I began to move through emotional healing, I began to understand that it really wasn't all that. They were exercising their right to make a choice. God has given us a free will. We even exercise our right to make a choice as far as God is concerned. God doesn't make us have to receive him. But my total perspective, how I perceived and dealt with people, began to change as I went through a time of emotional healing, because I simply had an unhealthy self-esteem. So when I talk about the term self-worth or self-esteem, I'm talking about the unspoken and private value that we have for ourselves. I'm not talking about what we say to people. Yeah, I know I'm this and I'm this. I know that I'm a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people, show forth the praise. I know that I am the beloved. I know that I'm not talking about what you say to people. What are you saying to you when nobody's around? That, my dear friend, is your self-esteem. Amen. And an easy way to understand the gravity, and I mean it weighs a lot. The way to understand the gravity of self-esteem or self-worth is to think about how often you need water. That's something that we cannot live without. Consuming water is necessary, and in fact it's non-negotiable. Non-negotiable when it comes to our body and its function. So in essence, we have a minute-by-minute need for water in order to survive. And so it is, we have a minute-by-minute need to regard ourselves as being worthwhile or significant. The problem comes in the emotional and psychological devastation occurs when the source that we depend on to satisfy our need to regard ourselves as significance no longer fulfills our thirsts. It's then when we are extremely vulnerable. It's then when we are offended because we couldn't get someone to accept our help, which made us ultimately feel better about ourselves. How do we get to a place where we feel good about ourselves? Does it happen automatically? How do we get to a place when we're not able to help somebody else, or we're not able to reach a particular goal, and we can still feel good about us? I want you to tune in on Friday, and we're going to talk about how do we have a healthy self-esteem. God bless you till we meet again. Love and kisses to you. Mwah!